Hi everyone, welcome back. I have missed you. I accidentally wound up taking, I think, a 3 week hiatus. I had two back-to-back very busy weeks at work and then needed a week of recovery. So it has been a while since we have chatted, but I am so excited to be back, especially because something happened at one of those work events that I have been dying to share with you. So let's jump right into it. Um, Now, the originating story is kind of a sad story. I found out that a friend of mine, the program that she worked for had been eliminated. And this is something, if you work for grant-based programs, you can definitely empathize with. It can be kind of a sword hanging over your head. And so I was deeply disappointed to hear this. And of course, I want to help however I can. So I asked what she was looking for. And as I've shared with you guys, a lot of times when I ask that, um, I mean, where are you looking? Do you want to stay where you are? Do you want to move? She wants to stay where she is. Fantastic. Um, are you looking to be in the same industry? Do you want to branch out? Do you want to make a lateral move or a vertical move? What do you feel like doing at the moment? And just in case, we don't use the terms lateral and vertical with regards to careers super often in higher ed. So if you haven't heard those, lateral means you're moving to a position that has about the same pay, same responsibility. Vertical means that you are moving up to more pay, more responsibility, etc. Um, and so, she was kind of fine with either. And so then we get to one of my favorite questions, which is what skills do you want to use? What are the things that you really liked doing in your previous roles? And can we find you something that maximizes your time doing those and minimizes your time doing things that you are capable of but don't really enjoy? And so she shared with me the position that she was looking for, and she dug into her skills and she said that she thought the reason she was looking for a specific position is because she really has a broad skill set ranging from ideation to implementation. And so that is kind of the thing that I wanted to share with you in terms of, well, how do I put this? Because I've talked about this on here before, but this was just such a potent example to me of this idea that jobs outside of the academy are in some ways so incredibly different than how we look at jobs in the academy. So if you have been in any kind of grad school, a master's program, a PhD program, if you are faculty, if you have done an undergraduate thesis, even, if you've been at kind of these higher levels of academic rigor, one thing you'll know is that it is very driven by you. So let's say you're in a master's program that does not have a thesis requirement. My master's program actually discouraged writing a thesis. They pushed everyone towards taking comprehensive exams for really good reasons. So even in that type of program, it's still very driven by you, the learner, in terms of, you have to take a certain amount of credits. You have to typically take those credits in a certain amount of time. And there's usually some kind of foundational things that everybody has to take. And outside of that, you are really free to kind of structure the classes that you want to take to maximize what you're interested in learning, leading to, probably your future interest in career or research or whichever path you go down. And so we're used to doing it all. You have heard me talk about this as the unbake the cake problem. I think I actually used that metaphor in our last episode with Jean. Unbaking the cake, right? So you're so focused on achieving this goal that you forget how to break down the steps that go into it. And so when my friend said that she wanted to use her skill sets of ideation and implementation, that was such a powerful reminder to me that in a lot of industries, those are separate skill sets. So you might have a team of folks um, who work on ideation. So coming up with new ideas, usually to maximize profit, whether that be finding a market that your company's not in right now, or incentivizing retention of a market that you are in, um, or making something more efficient or more cost effective. There's all kind of ways, but ideation, as you can tell from the name, is kind of the process of generating ideas to meet the goal of the entity that you are working for. A lot of times that's how to get more money. Not always, but a lot of times. And implementation, of course, is uh, actually doing those things, actually putting those ideas into the real world and following through on them. And so there's another category, which is evaluation. So after an idea has been thought up and researched and then has been rolled out and implemented, then comes evaluation. So how did that go? Did it go the way we wanted to? If so, fantastic. Is there any way it could have gone better? Did it kind of go the way we wanted it to, but not as much, not really? Okay, what could have changed? Was there a problem with the idea, the implementation? Was there a flaw in the research? Was there an unexpected outside force? Why didn't it go exactly the way we wanted? And then if it bombed, why did it bomb? And what can we do? And then that kind of rolls back to ideation, right? So it is this cycle. And the thing about academic training is we are doing that cycle, but we don't call it that. We're doing it all the time. From, when you write a seminar paper at the end of the semester, when you apply to present at a conference, um, when you write a thesis, certainly, you are coming up with an idea and then you are executing or implementing that idea, and then you're doing some type of evaluation. And that evaluation might be um, that paper got rejected from a journal. Why? Did I send it to a journal that wasn't the best fit? Is there a flaw in the paper, etc.? Or I got accepted to that conference, but it wasn't as good for networking as I wanted. I didn't get the value that I had hoped to by going for it, right? So we're always doing this process, but we don't use these terms. And this is actually one of the kind of like secret skills that I think really sets trained academics apart in other industries is that we don't develop these skills in isolation. We are used to doing this whole iterative, iterative process over and over and over again. And often we're kind of running several of these at the same time. And so one analogy that I've used in the past is if you think of yourself, you are the entity, you are the corporation, you are the brand, and you as the entity are going for a goal. Maybe that goal is a certain job after grad school, right? And to achieve that goal, you are thinking or ideating certain ideas to build up your brand to be a fit for that. And then you're implementing them and then you're evaluating how close they got you and what you want to do next, right? And so that could be, what you're focusing on from the classes that you pick, the types of final projects you do for those classes, the conferences and other academic gatherings that you apply to and present at, how you choose the committees that you sit and serve on, how much of your time you allot to networking. These are all kind of things that you are thinking about and doing and then assessing for how they contribute to the goal of the entity, which is your goal of getting a job. So we do it, but we don't put these terms on it. And the other reason I wanted to share this story with you is because I really never want anyone to listen to this podcast and think, oh my God, she's got it figured out. I don't know if I'm in danger of that, but probably not, but just as a forewarning, um, this is a skill set that I was forced to learn. And I love, love, love helping other people learn it. And I am still learning. all the time. And so when I had this encounter with my friend, and she talked about the skill sets that she wanted to use, it really made me think of how academics use those skills and others all the time, but don't necessarily know how to put that on a resume. So let's get into some like actionable steps now that we've kind of discussed the example and the theory. So how would you put that in a resume, right? Um, so let's say that you have the opportunity to create your own course around a topic of special interest to you, probably an area of your research, right? So creating a course itself is a lot of things. It's ideation, right? You're thinking of a course that aligns with the entity, in this case, the department and the university's values, and will make them money through enrollment, because if it doesn't, it will get canceled. So you're ideating something, um, and then you are, of course, implementing it through teaching, and then at the end of the course, you are evaluating how that went. So, and I don't mean like you're reading the student evaluations, I mean you are thinking through, did the learners seem to pick up the material? Did they engage with it? Did it become a part of their worldview? Did you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish in teaching that class? Did teaching that class substantially add to your CV, your teaching portfolio, if that was part of it for you, right? So you're evaluating how it did. At the same time, while you're doing that, running a class is a form of project management. So let's say this is a semester long class with 20 participants. So it would be, did I say semester? I meant quarter. Let's say it's a quarter long class with 20 participants. So it's a 12-week project with 20 direct reports. That's who the students are to you in this context. The project that you are running together is kind of a training or knowledge project for the entity. In this case, the entity is the university and the department. Um, and so throughout this project, you are also providing them feedback, right? You are doing group time management. You are making sure that everything is up to code in the sense that you are abiding by FERPA and other relevant codes for academic integrity, etc. So institutionally specific state and federal codes is how I would put that on a resume. So you're really packing all of these skills into one activity that often when we think of it, we're like, well, that's just teaching. Well, that's just teaching. But it's not just teaching, especially if you're coming up with your own class. You are ideating, implementing, and evaluating. You are doing project management. You are in a supervisory slash leadership role over those students. You are assessing them and providing feedback. You are training them in time management, training and coaching them in time management, and doing so many more things that I can't think of at the moment. Let's take a similar example. Maybe you are not creating a class, but maybe you're teaching a class that someone else has created. So this could be you inherited a syllabus and for whatever reason, you don't want to, you don't have time to make a lot of substantial changes. Or it could be this thing that happens a lot that there is a massive class that is broken up into many, many sections. And so there is a shared syllabus that you implement so that everybody gets the same experience with a slightly different flavor, right? I'm thinking of my days teaching public speaking at different places. Um, so in that case, you're not ideating the syllabus, but you are implementing the syllabus. You are probably providing feedback on how it went. You are working as part of the larger project to teach this class with, your other kind of TAs or instructors of record and the folks who manage the large class. And then you are also leading the project that is your class, right? And you're still providing feedback, doing time management and professional development for your students. So you are doing all of that, right? Um, Now, I spent a lot of time teaching. I was firmly in the humanities by the time I got to graduate school. So I have worked with folks who have lab examples, but they are less personally familiar to me. And yet, STEM folks do this too. You might, I know folks who have come in with a very original dissertation topic in a STEM field. So, in a lot of senses, they ideated that topic based on gaps in the current literature, and then they designed a research thesis and project around it and implemented that and evaluated it. I also know a good number of people who they're curious about a topic. There is a lab that focuses on that topic. And so they apply to grad school to work in that lab and pursue that topic. And it's less they are creating their own research plan and more they are extending the research portfolio of the lab, if that makes sense. Um, and so, in that sense, maybe you wouldn't say that you are ideating or coming up with your research topic, but you are implementing it. You're implementing it in a novel and interesting way. So, I hope that this helps. If you have specific questions, if you would like me to take a look at specific documents that you have, please, always feel free to put these things in the comments. I would love to see them. And just a reminder that we are looking for folks who want a real-time resume review to be guests of the podcast. So this is a free to use service where we go over your job documents together and talk through changes and the rationale behind them. And the only price is that you have to let what we record, an edited version of it, of course, be on the podcast to help others. And this can be done anonymously. You do not have to have your name on it. We don't have to have your voice on it if you don't want. So if that is something that interests you or might be of value to someone you know, drop a comment. I would love to get in touch with you. As always, I hope this helps. It's so good to be back and with another episode of What If Grad School Was Useful, actually, your favorite Hope Corps podcast on professionalization.